everybody else who's here on Discord. I think Ziad's all set up on X. And just a heads up, guys, we are going to likely start the community call primarily on X next year with a little bit of a different layout, make it a bit more fun and engaging for you guys. We are still going to try and stream it to Discord, but wanted to give you guys that heads up. Since most of our audience is on X now, we want to optimize for that platform. But here we are on Discord today. It is streamed to X, so thank you guys for tuning in there if you are on X. I have a few updates to get into. First of all, a lot of development work has been going on throughout November. So I published the token holder update about 20 minutes ago. You guys probably haven't had the chance to read it yet, so I'm going to send the link. We are going to talk about most of these updates on today's call, but it was a relatively quiet month in November as far as announcements go, but we were really busy behind the scenes working on some new developments for OETH and OUSD. So we're going to talk more about those, but we're really focused on attracting institutional capital to OETH. We have some innovations we've talked about now on Twitter and on our last community call that we'll dive into as well. And we're really excited to get working on OUSD. It's been one of our core products for a long time at Origin. It hasn't had the largest TVL, but we see a big opportunity to grow adoption of OUSD as we start setting up this new, what we're calling internally OUSD v2. If you've been paying attention to Origin Dollar, you may have noticed that it's now fully backed by USDC. So that was the first step in improving OUSD, but the yield strategies are coming soon. So we're going to talk more about that on this call in just a little bit. Like I mentioned, the token holder update is published. I sent the link on Discord. Ziad, I'm not sure if you're able to send that on Twitter, but if you are, that would be appreciated. If not, just go on over to originprotocol.com/blog. It'll be the first post there. Like I said, it was just published about 30 minutes ago. Some in-depth updates on development, OGN, the ARM, and some ecosystem integrations. So check that out when you get a minute. Like I said, we're going to be covering most of these in today's call. I'm going to start off with some updates regarding OGN, and then I'm going to pass it over to Raphael to talk a bit about that development work on OUSD and OETH. But in terms of OGN, the current staking APY is 37.5%, so it's been holding relatively steady with 39.7% of the supply staked. And if you guys are new here, the staking APY is completely funded by our protocol fees and those buybacks that we're doing. So if you guys want to follow along, all of these metrics that I'm looking at right now, they're updated very frequently on originprotocol.com/OGN. Sending a link in Discord, but some impressive numbers for the month of November. We're looking at a total OGN bought back since the program started of 47.7 million. About 8.5 million OGN was bought back in November alone. And we're also tracking the percent of circulating supply bought back, and we're almost to 7.5%. To be exact, we're at 7.37% of the supply bought back. It would be kind of cool to see the percent of circulating supply bought back over time. Right now, we have a chart on that link I sent of the total amount of OGN bought back. So if you look back only to August, which was just a few months ago, we were at like 19 million OGN bought back, and we're already at over 47 million. So seeing some really good growth there. If you annualize the amount of buybacks that we've done over the past 30 days, we would be at 98.5 million OGN bought back per year. So really impressive numbers there. Just want to take a look at a few other stats on this page before we talk about development work. But one that I keep an eye on is protocol revenue, which is the total revenue generated by all of Origin's products. Key revenue drivers here, if you guys are not aware, are Origin Ether, Super OETH, and the ARM. The ARM has grown a lot, especially over the past few months. If you followed along for a while, you know that we upgraded the ARM and achieved a partnership with Lido, where they're providing staked ETH, or rather ETH to the ARM to support the staked ETH peg. So we upgraded the ARM. It's probably been 3 months now. You can see it if you go to the analytics page. It corresponds really well to the growth in TVL, but now idle capital is sent to Morpho, so there's really consistent yields, and it's a lot higher than liquid staking. I think it's around 6% APY on ETH over the past 30 days for a really low risk strategy. So we've seen TVL grow, we've seen fees grow. And we're pacing at about $700,000 of protocol revenue over the past 30 days. So pretty strong numbers. About 20% of protocol revenue is earned as fees by the protocol, and that is what is used to buy back OGN. So over six figures, probably $150,000 worth of buybacks in November, which all went to OGN stakers to produce that 37.5% APY on max locked OGN. And again, you guys do not have to wait for me to give this update every month. Whenever you feel like checking in on OGN, you can check out originprotocol.com/OGN, get all of those metrics in real time that I just gave an update on. But that's all I wanted to cover regarding OGN. I want the bulk of this community call to be about some of the development work that we've been focused on for OUSD and OETH. We see some high growth opportunities here. So I'm going to pass it over to Rafael to give us a bit of a debrief. And actually, Rafael was at DevConnect in Buenos Aires, so maybe we start there. He had a lot of interesting conversations with top DeFi protocols, so a lot to look forward to. Maybe we start there, Rafael, with some of the conversations that you've been having at DevConnect.
Sure. Thanks for the nice intro, Ryan. Yes, Dev Connect was pretty intense. Was probably meeting with like I don't know, like a bunch of DeFi protocols. But I think like in a very high level overview is that Origin is built across all of the DeFi protocols is very innovative. And in the products that we have been building, it's something that everyone wants to be using now, but there is some requirements. So I was kind of like listening to what people want and how they want to use the product. So this was like very interesting. And we are listening to the feedback, and I will share a little bit more on some updates here. So, for example, you were touching on ARM, right? Like, I think everyone is really excited about that. But one of the main requests that I have been receiving was that how can you bring on-chain liquidity for ARM tokens so curators can enable like looping on money markets? And this is something that we will be working on. And we're gonna start bringing on-chain liquidity for ARM. So this is like a little bit of an alpha there because it's gonna work on Curve using Poo Booster and OETH. So this is something that I'm very excited about, and we're bringing this pretty soon. So a lot of concepts, like a lot of other part that was very interesting is that like some of the concepts that we're working, although they seem to be pretty straightforward and easy, like not everyone was kind of like really getting in at first place. So we kind of need to probably work a little bit on some diagrams and things like that that we have been already working on to explain a little bit more the concepts of the products that we're building. But yeah, this is more that's a very high level. Like a lot of like big partners have been like really excited about what we're doing. And with that one, let me start talking a little bit about OUSD, the OUSD upgrade, because like a lot of people have been asking us how we're gonna do that, how we're gonna do the risk management of the markets, and why did we choose to just follow only USDC instead of being a basket of assets. So one of the first reasons to do that was because the basket of assets is not it's not like the best design out there. And what ends up happening every time that you have some tokens like this, that you have a basket of assets, you end up getting the worst token off the basket because people just arb that and they get the best token out, right? So we decided to just use USDC because USDC offers us a couple of options, right? So in the first step, what we will do with the reform is what we currently have live, but we will be integrating with our partner to do risk assessment with us. And then OUSD will be only integrating with one market on Morpho. And this market's going to be curated together with us and Yearn. So Yearn is going to be collaborating with us on this strategy. And in the beginning, it will be only mainnet. And one of the interesting parts of like just using OUSD, using USDC as collateral, it means that we can go multi-chain without having any extra bridge risk because USDC has their native bridge, and it means that we can send USDC across other chains and still have the same token and the same collateral. So this means that in the future phase of OUSD, will be able to deposit and get yield not only from Ethereum but from other places like Base and Hyperliquid. And what you as a user you only need to do is you just only hold OUSD and you're going to get the best yield across chains. So this is something that I'm very excited about. And this is a reform that we're already working. I told you that I was going to start sharing a little bit more of what we're thinking about. And this is one part, right? And the other, like, very interesting strategy for us to bootstrap liquidity and grow a lot OUSD is by using Pool Booster. You can see right now that a bunch of like protocols they have been using. They want to bootstrap on-chain liquidity on Curve, and they're putting incentives. But what we're going to offer is that we're going to offer something quite unique because since we are only backed by USDC, every token or token issuer that pairs with us, in theory, they're pairing with USDC, but with the extra pool boosting incentives. So we will have like a sustainable way for them to deploy on-chain liquidity, and it's going to be cheaper because they can continually earning on the collateral that before they were not earning anymore. And this is pretty good for Curve as well, and pretty good for us, and pretty good for all the LPs who are joining that, right? So I'm just gonna give some estimation here on numbers. Is that like if we have around $50 million of OUSD on Curve doing pool booster, this means that I don't know. Let's just say a number of 7%. This means that we will be giving to Curve to VCRV holders around $70,000 a week on incentives just by pairing with OUSD and nothing more. And this will actually, with the ROIs that Curve has, let's say like that 1.2, this means that 80,000 or a little bit above $80,000 a week for LPs in CRV tokens, which is pretty good, right? And then if we imagine that uh, with $50 million, we have $100 million in TVL. This means like around $1.5 million in extra buyback pressure for OGN a year. So I'm pretty excited about that. This is something that we're talking very closely with the Yearn team to collaborate and help bootstrap this liquidity. I hope you guys are excited about this. But before moving forward, Ryan, is there any questions about OUSD and how we're thinking about this that you think I should mention here that I forgot?
No questions. I want to provide a little bit of context into our motives and our thinking behind upgrading OUSD, but Origin's been really focused on driving protocol revenue. Since now protocol fees are all going to OGN stakers, we feel like this is the thing that can move the needle for OGN, right? So how can we do that? We're looking at OUSD, and it's a lot easier to earn a higher APY on stablecoins. Like you threw out a number 7%, which I feel like is fairly reasonable. We see competitive stablecoins yielding higher single digit APYs, which is much higher than liquid staking, right? Liquid staking is around 3%. So if you think about this in the context of OGN, right, we're earning from the yield that we produce. So if we're able to offer a product that has 7% APY, then for every dollar of TVL that we have, we're earning double the amount of fees compared to a liquid staking token that's earning 3 to 3.5%. So just wanted to walk you guys through how we're thinking about this. It's a really great opportunity to grow protocol revenue and fees to OGN. And this kind of is a good segue into our next section about Origin Ether, but we've been focus on upgrading OETH, and we have some innovations there which are really focused on getting institutional capital onboarded to OETH. So this is another thing we've been thinking about to drive protocol revenue to OGN. But Raphael, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on with Origin Ether?
Yeah, sure. Like I think we got a very cool milestone like this week because as you all know, the entry queue is pretty big. So even though we had like this big upgrade for OETH, we still not able to fully take advantage of the system. But the first deposit was validated, so now we can start ramping up like our validators. Like so, for those who doesn't know what I'm talking about, is that we first do a 1 ETH deposit to a new validator, and then we wait to verify if that 1 ETH got in successfully before we deposit more ETH to the validator. And we just got our confirmation, and all of our automation systems are working perfectly on this. So we are in a good tracking. We got on track to start using all these new systems. And what this new system offers is like it offers a way better security, and it's a more efficient way for LSDs, right? So right now, we are gonna like everyone can actually check our balances without relying on an oracle because everything is using the beacon proofs. So anyone can also submit the validation for our tokens, and it's not like it's using the main like security of Ethereum. And one of the best parts of this, especially for LPs, is that we will be able to use partial withdrawals. So then we will not need to face the exit bottleneck queue anymore. Once we are fully migrated to this, like of course there is like if there is a big stake, we might need to do it, but like we're probably not gonna face like this massive exit queues anymore because when you go to the with partial withdrawal, you go into a different queue. So this is going to be very good for us. And like and all the security part is like pretty crazy because if you see like I don't know, even stake ETH Lido, which has like one of the best securities out there as well, they require like 9 oracles to be submitting uh how much ETH they have on validators. While with us now, like anyone can do that, and it's proven on chain. So we completely remove the need of oracles for OETH, which is pretty cool. Anything I'm missing, Ryan? Was it any questions?
No, that's all pretty clear. And I just want to call out that engineering work is all wrapped up. We got 3 audits from Open Zeppelin, Nethermind, Sigma Prime, some of the best auditors out there. So the bottleneck right now is just entering into validators. And we're seeing abnormally long times to enter and exit validators. But we should be all set once we're set up. We are using the new 0x02 validator architecture. So each validator holds 2,000 up to 2,048 ETH instead of 32, so less operational overhead. There's also some efficiency improvements. I don't know if you want to get into that a little bit, Raphael, or I can just share a blog. I just shared the blog actually here in Discord, but again, that's on originprotocol.com/blog if you want to read into the OETH upgrade. But several benefits. Raphael covered the security aspects of it. There's also efficiency upgrades, which you alluded to with partial withdrawals. I think there's also faster compounding that comes with this.
Yeah. The faster compound, it's like also pretty cool because what it also happens is that right now, OETH and probably all the other LSDs, they have the sweeping time that it's normally like 9 days. So you get like this burst of yield right after 9 days. And with our new validator type, it's just auto compounding. So it's not a super big uh, APY improvement, but there is a small APY improvement as well on this.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to this upgrade. Really cool how we're using Merkle proofs to validate the on-chain beacon chain balances. I think this is something that other LSTs will probably follow suit, and it's really cool that we're one of the first LSTs to offer that. All right, I want to move on and talk a bit about Origin's Automated Redemption Manager, our ARM. As I talked about at the beginning of the call, we've had really great success with the staked ETH ARM, and Lido's even providing liquidity there now. But we want to expand the ARM to other asset classes. You may have saw that Hasiago leaked something about the Athena ARM. If you're paying attention to all of our channels, you probably saw it yourself. But what's a little bit more, what's coming out before that actually is the EtherFi ARM. So we launched this, I think in November, it might have been at the very end of October. We're seeing some really nice success with the EtherFi ARM. I'm not going to talk about it. Our smart contract engineer, Clement, who is on the call, is going to talk about it. So I'll pass it over to him and we'll get some updates on ARM development.
Yeah, hi ho. Yeah, to talk about a bit Etherfi we just reached for the 30 days APY, we reached 6.5% for a small amount of 250 ETH deposited. The audit is just finished, so we will soon open up the Etherfi arm to everyone, and yeah, to allow anyone to deposit on it. If you want to say more about it, Ryan, feel free.
Sure. So the audit is complete now. We'll probably wrap everything up by the end of the month. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And then will there be a deposit cap for people that want to go provide liquidity to the ARM? And what asset is it in? Am I depositing ETH to the EtherFi ARM or would I be depositing EETH?
No, they will deposit is wrap this on the arm.
Okay, and then from your research, how much ETH do you think the ARM will be able to take? I know we've only done about a month of testing so far. 6.5% APY is really impressive. Do you think that can scale?
Yeah, definitely, we can really scale with this, no problem. The only issue that we have at the moment is the redemption time for this, but it will be soon decrease, so it will be fine.
And then, are there any differences that LPs should be aware of? Maybe I'm a LP in the staked ETH arm right now, and I'm considering the EETH arm. How much of the code is the same, and are there any core differences that I should be aware of?
So about the core the Etherfi arm use 90% of the Lido arm code, so it's almost the same. The only difference is only on the redemption side for the governance, I would say, or for the operator. So how we take back the EEs from Etherfi. But outside from this, this is something that the user don't see at all. So on the user perspective, this is exactly the same code and almost same code and same same user experience at the end.
Okay, got it. And then, will there be any lending market integrations on the EtherFi arm? Are they already integrated, or is this something that might be coming up on a roadmap for Q1?
Correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, Raphael, but I think we are using Morpho on this. I'm not sure, but I think we are using Morpho.
In the EtherFi one, we're using Morpho. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
but there
good.
but there's another one we're building that
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
using.
Maybe. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I think Hassaj
Go
already like raised this that we might be looking at Etina, and this is something that we're starting to work on right now. But since like USDE doesn't have a lot of like lending market opportunities on Morpho, we're gonna use Aave on that.
That'll be interesting to work with Aave for the USDE arm, and it'll be interesting to have a new asset class supported by the arm. Up until now, it's all been liquid staking tokens. So it'll be really cool to see a stablecoin and see what sort of yield we can generate on a stablecoin using the arm. I think LPs will be excited for that. Yeah, a lot of alpha. We're almost done with the call. I want to give Peter a chance to speak about some ecosystem integrations, and then we'll wrap up a little bit early today. But Peter, go ahead and take the stage.
Thanks, Ryan. I've got, I think, one ecosystem update to share. and then can do a quick recap on the borrow booster market that I don't think was mentioned yet on this call. So on the ecosystem update, there were two proposals that went up for vote over the last few days that both passed about 3 hours ago this morning. And those were to onboard wrapped Super OETH to 2 additional base markets on the compound money market. And that's one for the USDC market and one for the USDS market. The supply cap for both were set by Gauntlet, and they were set to 2,000 wrapped Super OETH, which is about $6 million each at today's prices. And Gauntlet also gave both an LTV of 80% with a liquidation at 85, which is pretty good for a Super OETH money market. Wrapped Super OETH is actually the first ETH LST to be added to the USDS market, which is cool to see. And it will be the third ETH LST added to the USDC market alongside Coinbase's CBETH and Lido's wrapped staked ETH. At the moment, the borrow cost is 3.05 at the USDS market and 3.97 on USDC. So not the lowest, but not too bad for stablecoins. You won't see the new markets yet on the compound front end because both proposals still need to be executed, but that should happen in the next 48 hours from OpenZeppelin's automatic execution bot. And then after that, it'll take a few days before the new markets actually show up on compound on their UI. But after the execution is done, you can utilize it on the contract layer if you wanted to, if you're a technical person and wanted to at least. But I'd usually recommend waiting for it to come up on the UI. For the recap on Borrow Booster, for those who haven't listened in on this the last few months, we have 2 unique morpho markets. On the base one, for Super OETH, any yield generated by Super OETH in that market is used as collateral. Any yield generated by the Super OETH used as collateral is sent back to Morpho as an incentive on the market to decrease the cost of borrowing USDC. So right now, I think the total cost to borrow, or the initial cost to borrow, is 7.97, but the incentives coming back to the market are 9.31. So by borrowing it, you're actually netting a negative 1.33% to borrow, meaning you'll profit 1.33%. And there's about $725,000 currently available to borrow on that market. Similarly, on the mainnet market, any yield generated by OETH used as collateral is sent back and used as an incentive to decrease the cost of borrowing USDC. Right now, it costs 0.99% to borrow, but the incentives from OETH coming back to the market are 3.12%, which makes it a negative 2.12% to borrow, meaning you'll profit 2.12% while borrowing. And there's 2.12 million currently available to borrow on that market. So those who take out the largest LTVs from those 2 markets will earn the most from the incentives coming back to the market. But in doing so, make sure you keep an eye on your health factor because you don't want to get liquidated. On the topic of liquidations, we did get the auto deleverage feature added to both Borrow Booster Morpho markets, if anyone's interested in using it. This feature essentially automatically unwinds a portion of your position when the LTV reaches a certain predetermined threshold to bring your LTV back to safer levels and prevent a full liquidation. I personally use this feature on a couple markets. I figured you're better safe than sorry when it comes to liquidations. You can find the feature on the markets by looking at the right side. There's a blue bubble, so you just click that to get that enabled. I can actually drop a link to the page in their docs that talk about this particular feature. It should be this one here. I think that's all I have.
Thanks for getting that feature, Peter. We should talk more about that, maybe even this week. It seems like it's super useful, especially while the markets are volatile. But I see it here, liquidation LTV, enable auto deleverage directly on the Morpho market. So really cool feature. something we should probably talk about more. But yeah, like you said, really good opportunity. The OETH USDC borrow booster market, negative 2% right now. So you're getting paid 2% to borrow. And then you can do other things with your USDC. You don't have to just hold on to it. So we're talking to some big protocols who are thinking about using these markets as part of their strategies because they can borrow USDC, make 2%, and then go use USDC elsewhere and make anywhere from 4 to 8% APY. So really nice incentive to use these markets. And I feel like the borrow rates have kind of stabilized, at least to some degree, right? When we launched it, it was a bit more volatile. I saw anywhere from -5%, -7%, all the way up to 2 to 3% APY. But I feel like it's been negative every time I've checked this market for the past month or so. I don't know if there's historical data. It looks like there is on Morpho to see where they have been. And it was as low as -8% a few weeks ago, and it's been negative ever since. So really nice opportunity. I linked those in the chat if you want to check them out. I'm sure we'll be talking about this more with that new auto deleverage feature that you got for us on Morpho. So thank you, Peter, for those updates. We're going to wrap up here, a little bit of a shorter call today. If you haven't yet, check out our token holder update. It covers all of these developments and more in more detail. That is linked in the announcements. Go ahead and share it on X while you're at it. But thank you guys for joining in. We'll see you in January, and we'll probably be on a little bit different of a live stream setup on X, but we're going to do our best to also be here in Discord for you guys. Thank you. I'll see you guys next month.